Okay, in the previous video, we set up the two tables and created the field between the two that's going to allow us to create a relationship. And now I'm going to teach you how you actually create that relationship. Important thing that you have to do before you create the relationship between the tables is you need to make sure the tables are closed. So if you right click on one, you can hit close, or if there's two open, you can hit close all, and they'll all change and just say, yes, I want to save them. So now none of my tables are opened, right? We know that if we wanted to open a table, we could either double click it, that would open it, right? That's one way. Or we could click on it and pick whether we want to open it in Datasheet View or Design View. But right now we see the objects over here in the navigation pane, but we don't have them open, okay? So we're going to go over to Database Tools. And in the Database Tools window, you'll see here this ability to create relationships. So the good news here is relationships in Access are much easier than relationships in real life. Haha, that's a joke. So they chose the tables, right? So I'm going to double click, and when I double click rooms, it's going to pop it over here. Or I could single click teachers and click add, same difference, okay? So now I have both tables. And just so you know, if you accidentally bring one in twice, see how it just depends, like teachers and teachers one, you can simply click on it and then just hit the delete key to remove it, right? Same thing if you screw up and you're creating a table, you don't like the table you created, you could click on it and you could hit the delete key as well. Sort of helpful information to have. So what I'm going to do here is this is just a graphical representation basically of our tables and the fields in our tables. So I have the teachers table and I have the rooms table, okay? So I'm going to go from the rooms table, and I'm going to take my teacher ID field because my relationship needs to be between my teacher ID field here to my teacher ID field here, right? Not room number to teacher ID. Those are two different field names, right? Always has to be whatever field you created that allows you to create that relationship between those two tables, okay? So you want to pay attention to whatever direction they tell you to, but I'm going to hold down with my left mouse button and I'm going to drag. You notice how you get that not sign until you're on top of the field. That's the one that you want to relate it to, and then you let go. Okay, and so this pops up, this edit relationships, and it's saying, okay, that you want to create a table from the teachers table, teacher ID, to the rooms table, teacher ID. And so you verify that, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. If it's not, you would close out, try again. Okay. And what we want to do is we want to do something called enforce referential integrity. And the idea behind the enforce referential integrity is that it ensures that you can't add you can't make it so that like your room is assigned to a teacher that doesn't exist, okay? And we'll actually test this out so that you can't basically add to somebody you don't want to assign a room to a teacher that there's no teacher ID that exists. So right now, I went in and actually put 3 teacher IDs in. So if I made a teacher ID 5, it should yell at me because there's no teacher ID 5, okay? And then we have this cascade update and cascade delete. The idea behind cascade update and cascade delete is that let's say I deleted, I had that parent-child situation. I'm trying to think of a better one. Let's say it's an order system, right? And for an ordering system, you have a customer. Well, if you delete the customer, what you want to do is delete all the orders for that customer as well. So by picking cascade delete, what you're saying is if I delete, let's say a particular, order that particular customer, I'd want to delete all the orders tied to that. And same thing for updates. So let's say I changed, and our relationship is not on room number, it's on teacher ID. So this one really wouldn't hold true. But if your key number changed, that you would want it to update it in the other table. In this case, neither one of these really apply all that well as an example, unfortunately. It's just the one that the book gave. But let's say, for example, in the real world, if we were assigning room numbers to students, and then the room number changed, we would want to change the room number for each of those students. So not a great example, but all right, let's hit create. And so now what you see is that you have this relationship between the two tables, right? And it's showing one to many, because remember we talked about the fact that one teacher could have many rooms assigned to them. And if you ever feel like this relationship's not right, or you forgot to do something, maybe you forgot to check update or delete, you can just simply double click the middle of the relationship line, and then you could check or uncheck these as needed. Okay. The other thing you could do is if you completely screwed up and you created the wrong relationship, you can click on it and just hit the delete key, and that would completely remove the relationship, and then you could just go ahead and recreate the relationship. Okay. So it's sort of a helpful thing to know. All right. So the other thing you can do is you can actually create a relationships report. So if you were to be assigned a database, right, in the real world, one of the first things that you want to do is check out all the tables that exist and the relationships between those tables, because it's going to help give you a good handle on what this database, what its purpose is, okay? So you can, if you go open up this relationship window, you go to design and you just simply click relationship report, okay? What it will do is it will create a report that's actually a relationships report, sort of showing this graphical representation of exactly what we created on this other tab here. Okay, this is just showing it in print preview view. So you would have the ability to print this out if you wanted to. We won't ever need to do that for this course, but we're going to hit close print preview. But it is important that you know how to at least create that report. Okay, so and then you would save the report and call it whatever they told you to call it. You will have to do this. So you just name it whatever it is. I'm just going to leave it relationships for this one, but you could just change it if you needed to. Click OK, and you'll see in the navigation pane that now it's created yet another object under reports that is this relationship report. Okay, so now I'm just going to close out of it. My relationships window is still here. I now want to go back to the design tab and close out of this as well. Okay, and so if I want to get back to that, right, database tools and relationships, and boom, I'm back there. Could make any changes I want to the relationship. So once you make those, once you do that, just know that you can get back to this window to make changes if you need to. Okay? All right. So in the next video, we will enter some data into our rooms table and sort of test out this idea of this relationship and why we created it.